it's probably leaning towards guilt. Now, on the racketeering, I agree with you that the predicate acts may be found, but that's not all they need. There's an ultimate question. The first question on the jury verdict form is, do you find him guilty or not guilty of racketeering? Before you even get to the predicate acts, which you only get to if you find guilt, they could just be hung up on that question and say, this guy's not Tony Soprano. I am not convinced that I even want to find guilt.
Midnight in Manhattan, and the courtroom is so still you could hear a phone vibrate. Sean Diddy Combs, the architect of an empire, sits in a charcoal suit with wrists cuffed tight enough to leave a mark. The verdict has been read. His children, not the background players in tonight's script, but sobbing, flesh-and-blood witnesses, sit bunched together on the cold bench as the judge leans forward, eyes sharp as a spotlight. Disgusting, shameful, sick. Those 3 words land heavier than the gavel itself. 50 months, more than 4 years in prison, and suddenly Diddy's world, the bad boy myth, dissolves. The stories we used to tell about velvet ropes and platinum records, they fade to black as he stands silent to be let out. He hides his face in his hands, his legacy now trailed by a parade of court testimony. Tales of freak-off gatherings, the private jets, the coercion, and the so-called parties that prosecutors painted as a theater of excess and domination. As the door slams behind him and a 4-year sentence becomes the new headline, something much bigger detonates outside those courtroom walls, because what started as one man's fault has detonated shockwaves all the way to the top floors of Hollywood and the NBA, and tonight the ripples land squarely at LeBron James' spotless doorstep. The internet barely has time to process Diddy's handcuffs before a 4-year-old Instagram live of LeBron and Diddy goes viral again. LeBron, broad grin, eyes glinting, leans in and declares, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party."
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
That's the soundbite. Careless, classic, innocent at the time, but this time it's dropped right as federal prosecutors unspool the full horror show of Diddy's freak-off parties. Everything from substances and manipulated guests to acts nobody wants to read out loud. And now, when the memes start flying and the old video loops again, it's not just sports blogs and gossip accounts paying attention. Insiders in the legal world, the entertainment press, and the NBA's own crisis management teams are all whispering the same question. If Diddy just toppled, who was standing close enough to get dragged into the next round? If every empire is only as clean as the company it keeps, LeBron's been walking barefoot through the mud, and the world just noticed.
This is the flight where Diddy said to her,
Showed her
she
the video.
testified
Showed her the
that
freak-off video.
he showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna send it to your mother.
And that's coercion,
She
if it's
testified
true.
to that.
If the jury
they
believes
believe her,
yeah.
that's coercion.
That's
they would have Cassie.
That's when the narrative pivots. It isn't about basketball anymore, or about Bronny's draft picks, or whether LeBron finishes his career in LA or Cleveland. This is about who was in the room when the masks were off. Right as that Instagram Live makes its encore performance, a parade of headlines and unconfirmed reports surface. LeBron James might be the next major name pulled into this mess. It's not just anonymous accounts fanning the flames. Now we've got trial witnesses talking about a rotating cast of stars, lawyers promising that the names will shock you, and suddenly a 4-second video from 4 years ago becomes evidence, at least in the court of public opinion. The phrase guilt by association has never sounded more expensive. We've watched LeBron James build the most calculated brand in modern sports. The king who never curses, the philanthropist who speaks on every crisis, the family man who turns his living room into a highlight reel. But how fast does a squeaky clean reputation turn if there's a shadow hanging over those old party invites? No charges, no court summons, not even a subpoena. And yet, suddenly, every old clip is a clue. We're not talking about a selfie with Diddy at the ESPY Awards. We're talking about LeBron, shoulder to shoulder with Diddy on Instagram, vouching for those parties, the same parties now dissected in front of a jury. Hey, everybody know, ain't no party like a Diddy party, LeBron says. That's the quote. Nobody cared when he said it, now nobody can stop replaying it. It's one thing when a pop star gets caught up in a scandal, but when a man the NBA has anointed as its greatest ever ambassador is suddenly threaded through the same web, that's not just news, that's an existential crisis for the entire league.
Let's talk about LeBron James, the Lakers head coach, saying he is out for personal reasons. It's an excused absence. However, social media trying to connect it to a resurfaced clip where James joined Diddy Combs on a live stream and said, quote, "Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party." I think that went viral. I remember when he...
Now enter Stephen A. Smith, and the feud that everyone thought was just tired sports television suddenly looks like a smokescreen for something darker. For months, we've watched LeBron and Stephen A. trade blows on camera. A courtside blow-up on March 6th, a viral video with LeBron mocking Stephen with a whomp whomp sound effect after a Lakers win. People laughed, made memes, called it petty. But under the neon of this new scandal, Stephen A's outbursts start to feel less like banter and more like warning shots. He doesn't mince words. LeBron James is full of it. As it pertains to his son, he is a liar. End quote. And he went on national television and he lied again. That's not commentary, that's a statement. For the record, I don't like LeBron, and it'll probably stay that way forever. Stephen A says on the Dan Le Batard show, things have gone on behind my back, trying to ruin my reputation and integrity. The timing is impossible to ignore. The anger isn't about Bronny's game time or some sideline snub. Stephen A isn't just annoyed, he sounds betrayed. And if you're reading between the lines, which the internet always does, he's hinting that he's been dragged into a mess he never agreed to cover up. And let's not forget the timeline here. Diddy is arrested in September. The memes about LeBron at Diddy's party start swirling the same week. There's the viral maid's dress photo, maybe AI, maybe not, but enough to stoke rumors of humiliation rituals and celebrity secrets. Ashton Kutcher even hints at things he's seen at those parties. Candace Owens piles on, questioning why the king, who speaks up about everything else, suddenly has nothing to say about his old party pal. And a nun comes out when abuse catch Ashton Kutcher, he says about her. By the time prosecutors are talking about coercion and substances and recorded performances at Diddy's house, LeBron's Instagram activity is being dissected like a Zapruder film. Why did he unfollow Diddy? Was it about optics? Or did he know something was about to drop?
Applaud them when they win. I criticize them when they're messing up in an effort to make sure that you don't do it again. I'm not wishing anybody to fail, but I have to call it how I see it because I have an audience to answer to. These players, I don't get paid to talk.
When the allegations about Diddy's so-called freak-off parties became open-season gossip, LeBron's name was everywhere. In memes, in doctored headlines, even in a fake LeBron-Diddy tape claim that USA Today had to debunk. And while other stars issued quick denials or threats to sue, LeBron said nothing. Not a tweet, not a press conference, not a "that's ridiculous" brush off, just a void. For a man whose entire brand is built on being loud, on standing up and speaking out, silence becomes suspicious. LeBron James, the man who speaks out on everything from politics to philanthropy, suddenly had nothing to say, as one host quipped. In a culture where silence equals suspicion, every day he doesn't respond becomes an invitation for conspiracy. It all bleeds into the courtside drama. The March showdown with Stephen A isn't just a squabble about Bronny or some analyst's hot take. When LeBron rolled up on Stephen, the tension in that arena went nuclear. "That wasn't a basketball player confronting me, that was a parent and that was a father," Stephen said at the time, sounding almost sympathetic. But the mood has shifted since then. Now he claims LeBron hoodwinked you all into thinking he was upset about criticism about his son. He calls out LeBron's passive aggressiveness and the two-facedness, smile in your face and dig you behind the back. Suddenly, the womp womp clip of LeBron mocking Stephen isn't just a meme, it's a mask slipping, a public unraveling of secrets. The feud isn't about basketball. It's about being forced into a cover-up, about secrets traded behind closed doors and the threat of reputations crashing down.
Like, seriously, and like another, he completely like missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do.
Stephen A has always been a showman, but now every word lands like a dare. When he sits on the Dan Le Batard show and lets it rip, "I don't like LeBron, and it'll probably stay that way forever. Things have gone on behind my back, trying to ruin my reputation and integrity." It sounds less like TV banter and more like a shot across the bow. He's not talking to LeBron, he's talking to everyone else. He wants us to know he's got something in the vault, and that if he's pushed, he's willing to detonate it. Maybe that's why LeBron's kept his mouth shut. Maybe the real game isn't happening on the hardwood or in the press conferences, but in the quiet, panicked phone calls between agents and lawyers and old friends who don't want their names coming up next. Even as the NBA tries to shift the narrative back to basketball, trade rumors, retirement talk, another possible return to Cleveland, none of it sticks. Every whisper about LeBron's future is shadowed by one question. What else is out there? What else is waiting in the wings if Stephen A decides he's done playing nice? When we watch LeBron walk off the court, waving to fans and smiling for the cameras, it's impossible not to wonder what's going through his mind. Is he thinking about the legacy he spent 2 decades polishing? Or is he waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the day the story stops being about championships and starts being about what really happened at those parties? We may never know, unless Stephen A decides it's time for the next chapter.
When it came to the other defense attorneys speaking, Brian Steele was just very urging of the judge to please consider that Sean Combs had untreated trauma throughout his life. Brian Steele urged the judge to consider that Sean Combs had untreated trauma in his life, and that there have been times in Sean Combs' life, especially when he had drugs in his system, that there were times where he had flatlined. And that
Diddy's trial may have handed down a sentence, but anyone paying attention knows the courtroom is still wide open. Federal investigators aren't hanging up their coats just yet. Tony Beesby, the attorney who's been promising the next wave of lawsuits, told reporters, "These names will shock you." He's painting a picture that stretches well beyond one man's jail cell. Prosecutors, we hear, are still dissecting the empire, tracking who was at those gatherings, whose signatures are in the guest books, which enablers and celebrities helped keep the machine oiled. Sources close to the case allege that the list of names is far from finished. Investigators are said to be poring through old security footage, bank records, messages, and even party guest lists stretching back 2 decades. One industry veteran claims there's hours of digital material that's never seen the light of day, now getting a forensic comb through by people who don't care about platinum records or NBA scoring titles.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak off, I'm going to release one of the freak off videos that you are profiled in and humiliate."
And while headlines keep tallying the charges, it's the collateral damage swirling around Diddy's former A-list acquaintances that has Hollywood sweating. As each new court date lands, another old photo of Diddy with a celebrity surfaces, but none draw more attention than those featuring LeBron James. The image that keeps getting broadcast. July 2013, ESPY Awards, Diddy and LeBron, side by side, arms draped, grins on full blast. There are more clips from LA parties, dinner galas, and late-night Instagram lives where LeBron gushes about Diddy's energy and the unbeatable atmosphere of his events. What was once innocent fun is now radioactive. Every grainy photo from those years becomes a piece of circumstantial evidence. We can't look at them the same way, even if the lawyers say, "There's no wrongdoing" by LeBron. The reality is that media investigators are hunting for any sliver of connection, a receipt, a timeline, a guestbook signature. When the narrative shifts from who performed at the All-Star game to who knew what and when, nobody's brand feels safe. Insiders in the music industry insist it's an open secret. There are stars who saw too much, who got uncomfortable, who left early or called their drivers after seeing something that didn't feel right. A former road manager says the most exclusive rooms in Hollywood were never about music or sports. They were about loyalty, about keeping their mouth shut. With Diddy's sentencing, every celebrity's old friendship with him gets cross-examined. If federal investigators or the media connect a major celebrity to even the fringes of those so-called freak-off gatherings, the consequences won't stop at album sales or sneaker contracts. The fallout could pull down ad deals, endorsements, even entire charitable initiatives, because the world doesn't care about nuance when a scandal goes viral. That's why some in the NBA are said to be quietly prepping their own statements just in case the questions come knocking, not because of guilt, but because of proximity. And in scandals like this, that's enough.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some...
The tension is compounded by the fact that LeBron, so visible on social issues, has become a ghost in this conversation. Every time he walks into a Lakers practice, flashes erupt from a dozen angles. The press gallery isn't asking about the next playoff run. They want to know about old friendships, about nights at Diddy's mansion, about why so many other celebrities have come forward to explain or distance themselves, while LeBron's response is a wall of silence. Investigators, both official and from the armchair internet crowd, are combing through his old interviews, dissecting every offhand comment about legendary parties, and trying to connect dots that might not even exist. It's the classic dilemma. The higher you climb, the more dangerous it is to have been photographed near the fire. Which brings us back to the real wild card, Stephen A. Smith. He's always been the loudest voice on sports television, but now he's starting to sound more like a reluctant informant. His comments, always sharp, are suddenly ice cold. "Things have gone on behind my back, trying to ruin my reputation and integrity," he said. That's not an analyst talking about a fourth quarter play. That's a man hinting at a private score, a grievance that's got nothing to do with basketball. The industry veterans tell us Stephen A. knows more than he lets on. The bitterness, the sudden shift in tone, it may come from being pulled into something he never wanted a part of, or from witnessing things at those infamous parties that made him regret being there at all. Allegedly, some close to the situation claim he's sitting on receipts, texts, photos, maybe even audio that could change the conversation from rumor to fact overnight. No accusations, just the knowledge that he's not bluffing. Imagine Stephen A., surrounded by years of inside jokes and unspoken secrets, now staring down the camera with the weight of a secret he can't unload on a podcast. That's the mood in sports media circles. Not who will win the next championship, but who knows what, and who's willing to go public if pushed too far. Some have speculated that Stephen's relentless campaign against LeBron isn't about courtside drama or Bronny's stats. It's about leverage, about sending a message: if you drag my name, I'll drag yours. Every clip of Diddy's sentencing, every teary plea from his children, every shot of him being led from the courtroom is a reminder. The mighty can fall, and when they do, the debris takes down more than just one man. The camera cuts between Diddy, his legacy leaking away through a courtroom door, Stephen A. at a microphone hinting at betrayals, and LeBron, stone-faced, walking through paparazzi flashes as reporters hurl questions that never get answered. It's a visual chessboard, and there's no guarantee who's really playing whom.
Which leads, obviously, to you and Stephen A. Hey, legit, that feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're watching it. Yep. We're all seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing it as well.
He literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it.
And the facts are still the facts. Diddy's trial named no wrongdoing by LeBron James, no criminal complaint, no subpoena, no charge sheet. But his proximity to a now convicted mogul and the absolute refusal to engage leaves enough space for the wildest theories to thrive. Sources inside federal law enforcement suggest the investigation into Diddy's world is far from over. There are boxes of evidence not yet unsealed, more interviews being scheduled, digital archives still being sifted for connections. 3 former music label execs say the government wants more names, not just from music, but sports, movies, tech, wherever the velvet rope extended. So the question hovers: if Diddy's empire crumbled because of what was orchestrated behind soundproofed doors, what happens when investigators start asking who attended, who knew, who played along? The whispers get louder. What if a receipt or message surfaces, even innocuous, that puts LeBron in a room at the wrong time? What if Stephen A. has proof, not just gossip, not just old photos, but something concrete? The kind of thing that doesn't just trend, but transforms a superstar into a headline for all the wrong reasons. Now, as the internet sizzles and every rumor becomes a trending hashtag, we're left staring at a cliffhanger worthy of the biggest story in sports and entertainment. If Stephen A. Smith really is sitting on the kind of proof that turns suspicion into scandal, then LeBron James isn't just the next headline, he's next in line. Could the king really go down with the mogul? Or will he finally break his silence and flip the script? Drop your wildest theories in the comments, and don't blink, because this is one drama that's only just begun. Stay tuned, keep your receipts close, and we'll catch you in the next revelation.